right, guys. So it's time for our science assignment for December 9th, Wednesday. It's only one worksheet today, and we're going to actually combine reading temperatures in Celsius and Fahrenheit for this particular task. Now, remember when we worked on the Celsius that was on for Monday's assignment? It was a larger degree scale, which means that sometimes the temperatures read a lot lower. Not sometimes. The temperatures read a lot lower than the Fahrenheit degree scale because the measurements are a little smaller. And so now we're going to really look at both sides of it, and we are going to determine which temperature it is. Now, this is very important because if you are working on something scientific and you're working on something with measurements of temperature, then you need to make sure that you are accurately reading whether it is Celsius or Fahrenheit, because that could actually mean the difference between something exploding and something not exploding, or something being cooked completely or something not being cooked completely. So you want to make sure that you are aware of the differences between the two. Now, for this particular assignment, there's only 9 questions, and they've already did the first one for you. So I honestly am going to go over the first one and then do the second one with you, and then you're going to be on your own, okay? Now, first things first is you want to notice what degree we are going to be measuring in, and it tells us that for the first one, we're measuring in Fahrenheit, okay? Then you want to come over and you want to look at the top here, because these two tells you what side is what. This side represents my Celsius. This side represents my Fahrenheit. So that's how I'm going to know what I'm measuring in particularly. Now, because I'm measuring in the degree of Fahrenheit, I'm going to come up to where my line is, and I notice that my line stops right about here, and I'm going to try to come across a little bit further so you can see. Now, there are 5 spaces in between each prominent line, which means that each space represents 2. And when I say that, it helps us because if I'm not directly on the 40, then I need to know what each space represents. It kind of goes back to fractions. And if I know that represents 2, then when I count up to that one space right there, I know that I'm automatically at 42, which is what they tell us in the temperature reading, okay? But then I also want you to look over to your Celsius side. It's also in measurements of 2 as well, okay? The second one wants us to look at Celsius. So I'm not even looking over here. I'm looking at this for my measurement, okay? If I'm coming up to my Celsius, like I said, I like to draw my little line here. It helps me know exactly where I'm going to be showing my measurement, and that's very important to me. Now, for the Celsius, I'm in my negative side, okay? So I can either start at negative 20 and count up, which means I'm going to be decreasing in number, or I'm going to start at negative 10 and count down, okay? So once again, each space represents 2, and sometimes it's going to be easier to start at the negative 10 and just go negative 12, negative 14, because there's 2 spaces there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to try to give you a better, clearer picture, okay? So this is where my line stops, and I'm starting at negative 10 and I'm counting this way, okay? And each space represents 2, so negative 10, negative 12, negative 14. So my Celsius degree is negative 14, all right? Now, if I'm looking over at my Fahrenheit, even though I don't have to do Fahrenheit, I still want to kind of give you a better understanding of how it works. This is where my line is. I'm going to start at 0 because that's closest to me, and I'm going to count up by 2. So 2, 4, 6. So this is going to be 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Now notice the difference. This represents my negative 14 degrees Celsius, but 6 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's very crucial, guys. We really want to make sure that we're understanding the difference between the two. Now, if you look over to question number 3, it is asking you to find the Fahrenheit, okay? So my camera don't want to work with me today. It's asking you to find Fahrenheit, so you're going to look over on this side for question 3, okay? All right, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact Miss Heard. You can send me an email at rheardhixon.rheshva@gmail.com, or you can send me a text or call me 256-513-8064. All right, guys, that's it for science.